Hey, hi, and howdy, sweet friends. Welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Courtney, and I do food and kitchen content that's like weekly grocery hauls and cooking videos. So if that is the kind of stuff that you are into, then I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and stick around. Now, normally I do meal prep videos, but this was our first week without co-op, so I did a mix of meal prep and just random things. We had some leftovers in the fridge that needed to be used up and things like that. So I was kind of just filling in the gaps this week, but I did just kind of raid my pantries and freezers to come up with the ideas. So let's jump in. All right, so we're going to make these pancake sausage muffins. These have been on my mind for a while, and I'm finally making them today. So we're going to start off by making the batter, which is just a simple pancake batter. Now, I'm going to link the original recipe below, and I'm going to let you know I ended up doubling it. So what you're seeing me make now is one batch, but I did go back later and double it before I added the sausage. So we've got 1 cup of milk, an egg, a splash of vanilla, a little bit of salt, of course, because you always want to add a little salt because it brings out all the yummy flavors. Even if you're making something sweet, it just makes things pop. I did throw in a little bit of maple syrup there for that deep, rich, mapley breakfast flavor that I'm looking for. And I gave it a really good whisk just to kind of get that egg all broken up into our milk. Now, I'm using coconut milk. You can use regular, but I will say coconut milk has a really beautiful flavor, and it just fit this so well. I also melted 2 tablespoons of butter and threw that right in. And that's all of our liquids. We're going to move on to our dry ingredients. We're going to need a teaspoon of baking powder. You guys know I don't measure. Sorry, we're just adding in what looks good to me. But by all means, if you're not comfortable with that, pull out those measuring spoons. I'm going to just kind of mix that in just a little bit, just to kind of make sure it gets incorporated a little. And we're going to start adding in our flour. This is a very loose batter, so I only added in 1 cup of flour. And I was looking at this and I was thinking to myself, this doesn't look like a whole ton of batter. But for the moment, I set it aside and got to work on my sausage. Now, I can't wait to share this with you guys. It's Jimmy Dean maple sausage, but check out this price because I do shop clearance and sales, $1.43. Keep your eye out for those kind of deals in your store and just toss it in your freezer for later use because that's what I'm doing. And this was such a winner. I'm just going to brown this sausage. I'm not doing anything fancy, just crumbling it and letting it cook. You can see I let some color develop there because that is where the flavor is. And while that was happening, I did go ahead and add a second amount to the pancake batter. So I've doubled the recipe now. And we're just going to toss our crumbled sausage right in there and give it a really good mix. And that's really all there is to this. I'm going to put it in muffin tins because I thought that would be super convenient. I did grease these muffin tins, but you can also just put this in a casserole dish and just slice it up into squares. Either way, it would work fine. Just keep in mind that like it'll bake a little bit longer if you're putting it in like a cake size pan. So I just popped those in the oven at 350 for like 20 to 25 minutes. And I only had the 1 muffin tin in that size. So I just pulled out some little paper liners for muffins and put them on a baking tray. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in the rest of my batter. In total, this made 24 muffins, which is really great. 1 pound of sausage in that double batch of pancakes. These are some really good muffins. They go great in the freezer or in the fridge. Just reheat them. And this is what they look like. Really just little muffins, but they are so good. On the go breakfast, just so simple. My entire family love these. You can add syrup if you want to. You don't have to. It is totally up to you. All right, so I'm going to start cooking meals now, but I did want to start off with these Cheddar Bay biscuits. So this is something I love to keep on hand. I make a lot of things from scratch. However, it is so convenient to have this kind of stuff because it's delicious and it makes a fabulous side. I buy that giant box at Sam's Club and I think it has 4 packs in it. So I just pulled out 1 pack and I followed the instructions on there. It's so simple. You just add some water and I think it calls for half a cup of cheese, but like, don't tell me what to do. We're going to put a whole cup in there, y'all, because if a little cheese is good, a lot of cheese is probably better. And for these biscuits, I feel like half a cup of cheese is never enough. Now, I just used my cookie scoop and I portioned them out like that. And this made, I believe, a dozen muffins. And I just baked them according to the package instructions. And of course, you just melt some butter and mix the little seasoning packet in there and brush it on top. But this was such a wonderful side. My family always loves these. They are always a winner. And we use them for 2 different meals that I made for the week. Like I said, we had a lot of leftovers and stuff. So I did not need to make, a whole bunch of meals for the week. but I did need to make 2 meals, and 12 biscuits for 2 meals was perfect. All right, so let's get started cooking. I mentioned in my grocery haul, I did have some prosciutto that I needed to use. So there it is. I'm actually just going to kind of dice up half that package, and the rest I just tossed in the freezer. Now, if you don't have prosciutto, this recipe is amazing with bacon, so no worries. I was just trying to use up what I had in my fridge. I tossed this in my skillet just to give it a couple of minutes to kind of develop some color and flavor and a little bit of texture. You don't have to do that, but I wanted to. Now, of course, if you're using bacon, you want to cook that all the way through, or ham would be another great option for this. Just dice it up, maybe give it a little toss in your skillet for a minute to kind of give it some texture and crispness. But once that's done, I just set the prosciutto aside and I tossed in 1 cup of ORZO. ORZO is just pasta that's in the shape of rice, but this is going to be such a fun dish to make. I'm just going to let this saute in a little bit of garlic oil for a couple of minutes. It toasts the pasta, it adds some extra flavor, all that stuff. And look at this deal, guys. Better the bouillon. It's the organic one, and it is the beef flavor. I got it for $2 on the clearance rack. I could not believe that deal. So, of course, I snagged it right up. If there had been 2, I would have gotten them, but there was only 1 left. So I got that 1, and it's good for quite a long time. So I was really thrilled at that deal. Never skip on those clearance racks. There's always some good deals to be found. I did go ahead and add in a little bit of garlic powder, and then I added in my water. Now, if you wanted to use just packaged broth, that would be fine as well. You could do beef or chicken. I opted for beef this time, 1, because I think the flavor is better, and 2, because I was using prosciutto and I felt like it would pair better. So what I do to make this is like making a risotto. I just slowly add in my water as I'm cooking the pasta, just like half a cup at a time until the pasta is almost al dente, but not quite. And it will just kind of simmer and release starch, which is what's going to help us make a beautiful, rich, and creamy sauce for this. That starchiness works kind of like a thickening agent, so it's perfect for this kind of dish. I did throw in about 1 cup of frozen peas. I prefer frozen peas over regular peas just because they hold up better. And I added a little bit of pepper to taste, and I did want to go ahead and check the pasta and make sure it was where I wanted it to be. It still needed just another minute or 2 of cook time, so I added in some lemon juice for a little bit of vibrancy and a little more water just to let that pasta cook for a few more minutes. Once it had done that, I added in 2 tablespoons of butter just for a creaminess, and then Parmesan cheese. Now, you could also make a regular mac and cheese this way, but I am making more of a Parmesan type dish, and I use the green shaker tub because I know most of y'all have that. Now, I would say grating fresh Parmesan would be much, much better because it doesn't have any anti-caking agent in it. It's going to melt and be a lot creamier. But in order to just share this recipe, and I know like most people keep that stuff in the fridge, I wanted to show you that it totally works with that as well. Just make sure you keep stirring this pasta through the whole process so that nothing sticks and it cooks nicely and evenly. And then we're going to add our prosciutto back in, or bacon or ham, whatever it is you're working with, and give this 1 more minute to just kind of come together. Oh, it was so delicious. The flavors are amazing. It comes together so beautifully, and see, it forms a nice, rich, creamy sauce. And that is really just a combination of the Parmesan and the starch from the pasta. Now, it might not be the most beautiful dish, but flavor-wise, oh, this was a home run for sure. Don't skip out on this one. I will list the ingredients down below. All right, on to our last meal. We're going to make taco soup. I have this taco seasoned ground turkey. Y'all, I get this for $1.73 a pound at Walmart. That is such a steal for any kind of meat per pound right now. $1.73. So don't sleep on this one. I tossed it right into my pot and added in 1 onion that I diced up, and I just let this cook and brown and do its thing. Once it had finished cooking all the way through, I went ahead and threw in some garlic. I used confit garlic, which, by the way, I always list the recipe for that below, or the video for it. But you can use garlic powder or minced garlic, whatever you have. And then the recipe that I use for taco soup, I'm linking below. It calls for ranch seasoning, which I don't buy the packets anymore. I make my own, and I was actually out of ranch seasoning mix. So I just threw the seasonings in here. I already have a lot of onion and garlic in the pot, so I threw in some thyme, some parsley, and a little bit of dill, and a little bit of extra onion powder, and then some pepper. I also wanted to cook this in beef broth, so I threw in some bouillon, just regular powdered bouillon this time, which is super salty, and that's why I'm not adding any salt. And next we're going to start dumping in our canned goods. Now, if you've got black beans or pinto beans, those are perfect. For whatever reason, I couldn't find all of my beans today, so I just added in cannellini beans because that's what I had, and they were wonderful, by the way. I threw in a can of corn that I drained and also a can of diced tomatoes. Bonus points if you have Rotel, that's going to taste even better. All I could find was just regular diced tomatoes. And I tossed in a little bit of extra water because it looked a little dry for a soup. Now, I don't like it super soupy. My family doesn't. We like it super chunky and more, I guess, stewish. So I'm only adding in a little bit of water, but really all we're going to do now is just let this simmer. I did want to toss in a little bit of lemon juice just for that kind of twang that you get from ranch dressing mix. But that was it. Look at this soup. This is hearty and delicious and inexpensive to make. A lot of canned goods, but so good. And it made a ton of soup. Now I'm serving the soup with the leftover Cheddar Bay biscuits, but cornbread would also be a great pairing for that. These meals were so easy and so delicious, and I threw them together with things I had on hand, which made them incredibly budget friendly because most of the items I had purchased on sale or deep discount. Keep that in mind as you're stocking your kitchen. It's a great way to reduce cost. Just pick things up as you see them and save them for later because I promise you'll need them, you'll use them, and you'll find a way that you want to cook with them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was just a bunch of throw together pantry meals for the week, but all the recipes are listed or linked below. I hope y'all are having a fabulous weekend, and I will see you guys soon with another video. I think I'm back Tuesday with my grocery haul. Have a fantastic one, guys. Bye.